that's gone now.
Yeah.
We took that down.
So that's when I was wondering, you rebuilding that one, or
Hmm?
you gonna rebuild that house?
No,
No.
that'll stay down. We're working on another project which is down the hill. Instead of having to deal with all that mud all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So you look at my truck, tells you what we deal with every day.
Yeah.
I clean it doesn't look like I do, but I actually clean it sometimes 3 or 4 times in a week because of the mud you go through the mud.
Mm-hmm.
It coats everything in mud. It's I don't know, something sticky about that. It coats everything, so all of the braking mechanism and the suspension, it all gets coated in mud.
Natatawa ko nung kumain kayo ng suso.
Then you
Na ayaw
park
niya.
it and it dries.
It's like a clay, isn't it?
Yeah, it dries, and then you go down again and it coats on the coat. So it really can be a serious problem if you don't attend to it. So you have to keep going in and pressure washing it. And the wheels become, they're spoked.
Mm-hmm.
And the spokes just get filled in with mud. It's incredible.
I know you might know this. I was told that we're looking at buying some property and then going to build on it and when I retire. Also, you got to be careful that it could be a son that was involved in here 2 generations ago that still owns part of that property.
Yeah.
How do you find that out that you don't?
Very difficult. We're going through that at the moment ourselves. Plus, we've just discovered that the BIR, Inland Revenue, they have a formula for how much tax you will pay for transferring into your name, the title into your name, and it's, what was it, 55 times every single square meter.
Ooh.
So
I guess you put an outhouse on there first, and then you build your house after it's done, right?
I'm sure there are ways around it, but if you've got a family of 10 or 11, Beth, is it 10 or 11? 10. So Beth is from a family of 10 children, and then they all separate and they go their own way. But when that property is sold, they all have to be contacted, and they all have to agree for the property to be sold. It can be a terrible headache.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're finding now that the
40
woman,
minutes.
the official at the department is saying this is why people are not transferring the title to their name. They're just going on a bill of sale.
Okay, how's that work out down the road? Billy Bob comes
How
up and
does
says,
it? That's the problem.
Because I can see Billy Bob coming up and saying,
Well, if you remember, what was it? I don't know what year it was, or what are we looking at? Maybe 12 or 13 years ago, in the US, they had the real estate crashed.
right.
And it crashed because in the States you have what's called the original note, the note.
Yeah.
So in order to make the sale, what should happen is you should have the note, and you should see that. Well, the test case was the guy that was staying in a $2 million home, and they asked him to pay, and he said, I'd like to see the note. And they couldn't show him the note. So he said, I'm willing to pay, but I want to see who owns the mortgage. And they couldn't show him the note, so they couldn't prove. And that was because the Koreans and Chinese, for all I know, were buying bundles of mortgages. And what was happening, because it was all going down and being sold, and it was being sold like someone would buy a bundle and sell it straight on. And they didn't deal with the paperwork.
Oh,
So the original note was somewhere down
down the road.
several ways.
Yeah. Well, the other thing happened with the real estate scandal was when they deregulated the banks, and let you making $30,000 a year take $100,000 loan out, and then you have these balloon loans that kept it down low, and then all of a sudden,
Yeah. They were the no document. I don't know what the phrase was in America, but they were where you didn't have to show any documents.
yeah,
You didn't have to prove that you could pay.
these people just kept remortgaging. They get 3 years of real low interest rates, and then they have balloon payment go up, remortgage again. I had a relative that got involved in that. They finally ended up having to sell their house.
Yeah.
I stayed out of that, so I've kept my house for over 30 years now. Part of my retirement
Yeah.
plan.
So when you did sell, when you eventually sell, you would be taking all the money
Well,
to set up here.
yeah, basically. I owe like $90,000 now in my house because when I got divorced, my first wife was bipolar. We got divorced in
okay.
2008. Well, I bought her out and I had to refinance everything.
Okay.
So I still owe $90,000 in my house, which would have been paid for 5 years ago if I would have done that.
Yeah. See, I'd heard, Monday, this is 10 or 15 years ago in the States, that you were allowed to sell one home
Yeah.
and not pay any tax on that.
Yeah,
on
you
that
don't have to
sale.
pay on capital gains.
Yeah. So you got one.
Yeah, your personal home.
Yeah, one.
Yeah. I've never sold a home yet, so it's the only one I've ever owned.
Yeah.
And I bought it originally with this idea was, I figured even when I was married my first wife, we weren't going to stay where I live now. So this was the plan was get as much equity as possible, go somewhere cheaper, but build not a huge house, but a nice house, and then lay back and just enjoy what I have left in life.
Yeah.
But I got it worked out now. When we build our house, I'm going to buy her one of these little pedal tricycles, and then I can watch her all day long with my binoculars, make sure she's working, calling people around. And then she comes up at lunchtime, and I'll give her a sandwich when she gives me the money. And I'll be her manager. I'll give her a sandwich and then a glass of water, and that's how we're going to keep the money going. She's always I say something. She'll be, "Are you joking?"
Well, I thought until we learned about this BIR tax, I thought that it was so much cheaper here, but the way that kind of computation of 55 times,
Oh yeah.
then the tax, if they leave that as it is, the tax is going to be more than the property is worth.
Yeah, I didn't
So
know
you
that.
could, it's quite conceivable that you could be paying 500,000 for something and pay 900,000 in tax.
You know, like where I live, our taxes are outrageous. My little house, taxes are over 40,000 or 4,000 a year, just for school tax.
Oh well, that's the difference here. Is that after you've paid that
Yeah.
million or whatever, you might pay 2,000, and we are talking
Yeah.
pesos. So
Yeah.
you might